Last year, I spent months hunting for GUNPLA all over Japan while I was living there. In every shop, every basement, every hidden floor in a gigantic hobby store. Today, I'm pulling everything together into one mega video. If you're planning a trip to Japan and want to know exactly which shops deserve a spot on your itinerary, this is the video you need. This one's going to be a long one, so grab a snack, get comfy, and get ready to enjoy exploring every awesome GUNPLA shop I've been to in Japan in excruciating detail. Let's get to the video. Today we're diving into Gundam Paradise at what just might be one of the biggest otaku malls in the world. Welcome to NAKANO Broadway. This place is a maze of endless treasures straight out of the 80s, from rare GUNPLA kits to collectibles and video games you won't find anywhere else. In this video, I'll guide you through everything you need to know, how to get there, the must-visit shops, and tips for finding the best GUNPLA. If you're a GUNPLA fan, this is one shopping trip you can't afford to miss. Let's get into it. NAKANO Broadway first opened its doors in 1966 as a multi-purpose shopping complex, originally designed to serve the growing suburban community of Nakano, but over the years it transformed into something far more legendary. By the 1980s, it became a hub for otaku culture, thanks to the rise of anime, manga, and collectible stores. This place is massive. While not the largest mall in Tokyo, NAKANO Broadway packs in over 300 shops across 4 floors, a maze-like paradise filled with everything from GUNPLA, retro games, manga, figures, and toys. Getting to Nakano Broadway is super easy. From Shinjuku, it's only about 10 minutes to Nakano Station. Once you're at Nakano Station, it's about a 3-minute walk to get to Nakano Broadway's entrance. Alright, so now let's talk about the GUNPLA shops. This place is an absolute maze, and it's super easy to get lost. In general, I would recommend checking out all the Mandarake stores you can find. Mandarake has a map on their website of which stores carry what type of items, but in general, I'd say it's fine to just wander around and walk into whatever stores seem interesting to you. In general, you'll find much better selection and prices than places like eBay in the United States, but the prices will be a little bit higher than some other shops in Japan because it's such a popular location. Alright, now we are finally getting to the shops. So here we are at Mandarake Special 2. This is one of the premier shops for finding GUNPLA here, and as you'll see, they have some really rare kits, starting out with these Musha Gundam Mark IIs, which are so much cheaper than I found them on eBay for. An absolute steal. Really cool, unique old kit there. And then they've also got this RX-78 Gundam. This is the full color model. It's a little bit expensive for what it is, but it is still cool and very rare. Here we've got another Musha Gundam Mark II, the Tokugawa version. Also a really nice discount versus what you'll find on eBay. And I just absolutely love the art on this one. It looks so cool. And only 7,500 yen. And here we're getting in the store. You'll see they have a nice selection of lots of old kits over here, which you all know I'm a fan of. And then they've got a lot of more rare and expensive stuff, including figures in these glass cases. And at the end of the aisle, they have got this nice selection of all of these P Bandai Master Grades. Really, really cool to see that here. They generally are a little bit expensive, but the selection is very nice. Moving on. Here we've got a really nice selection of Hobby Japan magazines, as well as some other Japanese modeling magazines, and they are dirt cheap, you guys. If you have space in your luggage and you're traveling, highly recommend picking up some for like $1 to $2 for some of these. You can't go wrong. It's just such great inspiration for your modeling, and a lot of them are just kind of cool, like looks back into the history of modeling. It's a really, really high recommendation from me to pick some up. Next, on to more models, we have this Zeta Gundam Wave Rider, the full action version. And this is one of the best prices I've seen on this one. Sometimes for some reason this model can be a little bit pricey. And here we have the Dom Tropical Test Type. I absolutely adore the artwork on this one, and the typography. The whole design is very, very cool. And just 3,000 yen, that's an absolute steal for this one. Here we've got the 1/100 Gelgoog, the old version with that old Bandai logo there. Very cool kit. You can see I'm kind of fumbling with it here, but it's a very cool kit. And Yeah, I'd love to build one of those. Here we have the old no-grade Hammurabi from Zeta Gundam. Very cool box art. And here we have the first grade Gundam Exia rollout color. The first grade kits are very, very uncommon. Few of them are ever made, but it's a nice little novelty. And it's also very cheap at 1,000 yen. Here we have the Rig Shokyu, a really cool and unique kit. The Gun Blaster as well, that's a really nice one. I love those Victory Gundam kits. And the old school GPO-1, this is one that I was kind of on the fence about. If you don't know, the shield design is very, very different on these old kits. And I've been in the market for the GPO-1 FB version, but not this one. So I think I'm going to pass up on it here, but it is very cool to see. The HY2M Godfinger, this is a cool little upgrade for your Master Grade God Gundam. And here we have the G Falcon Unit XX. This is a really unique design, of course, from XX, but you can see here it's very large. It's got this really cool ship that comes with it and a ton of panel line detail on the suit itself. Some cool photos on the side of the box there. And yeah, it's quite a large box as well. And only 5,500 yen, which is about half the price that you'll pay on eBay for this kit. So a really nice little deal there. Here are just some little interesting oddities, the fun to build GUNPLA little bags there. Kind of a cool find. And this double Zeta poster absolutely blew my mind. Such a cool hand-painted illustration. I really, really wanted this one, but because of the size and all the stuff I was carrying that day, I decided to pass up on it, and I kind of regret that I did. I wish I could go back and grab this now. Alright, so now we are leaving Mandarake Special 2 and we are off to the next shop. And here we are at Mandarake Special 6. This store has a lot of action figures and things like that, but we're going to be focusing on their GUNPLA selection because it's really, really nice. You can see here just wall to wall, so much stuff. Again, as usual with the rare stuff in the cases. And here you can see a lot of 5-star stories, which I'm a huge fan of, as well as some Macross and other just various other anime franchises. So really great selection of non-GUNPLA stuff here as well. And here they've got this really cool looking thing. This caught my eye. It's from Space Runaway Ideon, which I'm not really familiar with, but it's such a unique design. And here you can see some of the Macross kits like I mentioned, as well as a Scope Dog and some other stuff. And the LED Mirage, I really, really want this one. I think I'm definitely going to pick it up within the next year or so and try to give that a build. And of course, some Machine and Krieger kits down here at the bottom. And some more of the vintage Macross kits. Really nice selection, as well as some other different anime franchises up top and at the bottom. And here is this really interesting kit from the Dougram series. I think it would be very cool to mix this with maybe one of the newer Dougram mech designs and kind of create a little diorama there. I think that would be super cool. And that's going to do it for Mandarake Special 6. But one last thing I wanted to say is that at some other shops, like this Pokemon shop here, I found this really cool 1/60 scale Wing Gundam. So there are a lot of Gundams all over, like in these cabinet rental shops where people rent out cabinets and sell individual items. So I'd highly recommend just exploring all of Nakano Broadway. It's a really fun, interesting place regardless, and you're going to find Gundam stuff all over the place here. Today we're going to be exploring what just may be the biggest hobby shop in all of Japan. Welcome to the Surugaya flagship store, Shizuoka. This store was insanely huge. They had 4 floors of everything from toys and video games to music, movies, and yes, model kits. Lots and lots of model kits. I tried to do some research and find out if this was indeed the biggest model store in Japan, but I couldn't find anything definitive. What I can say though is it's by far the biggest one I've seen, and it outclasses anything in Akihabara in Tokyo by a huge margin. So what do you say we get right into it and explore the Surugaya flagship store? Alright, so first things first, getting to Shizuoka. Shizuoka is a really cool city. They hold the annual Shizuoka Hobby Show there. I did 2 videos covering that. If you want to check them out, you can click the links here. and it is about an hour and 10 minutes on the Shinkansen, and that takes you right to Shizuoka Station, and is a really nice train ride. On a clear day, you can see Mount Fuji and some other mountain ranges outside of the windows of the train. And from Shizuoka Station, it is pretty straightforward to get to the Surugaya flagship store. It's just about a 10-15 minute walk, and you'll be right there. All right, so let's get into it. Here we are at the back entrance of the store. The store has entrances on both sides of the street that it's on. So this is the back entrance, and you can walk straight through to the next block over. On the first floor, there are a lot of anime figures, and they have this really cool Hulkbuster statue. You can see all the different figures, Nendroids, Figma, pretty much everything. And here you're going to see the floor guide, and we are looking to go here to the second floor plastic model section. So you just go up the escalator, and one of the first things I saw that caught my eye were these little wooden house structure or just architectural structure dioramas by Woody Joe. I also talked about these a little bit in my Shizuoka Hobby Show video because I just think they are so cool and interesting. They've got some ships down there as well. And next up we have tools and supplies. They had a tremendous selection of tools and supplies. It was really, really impressive. I had previously been blown away by stores like Yellow Submarine and the Volk store, but this definitely gives those two a run for their money. Absolutely amazing selection. Moving on here, we've got paints. Also incredibly impressive. They had so many brands and colors of paint. It was kind of mind-boggling. Previously, I talked about it in that Yellow Submarine video where that was the best selection I had seen. But, you know, this is not in Tokyo. They've got more space out here, but they have so many colors. It might not look like as much because it's spread out, but trust me, crazy amount of colors. Here you've got some diorama supplies, different, grass textures and things like that. And then jumping right into the model kits, starting out with a really nice selection of make kits, probably one of the more robust sections I've seen at a single store. And here we have resin and garage kits. I absolutely love resin and garage kits because they are so unique, and often the sculpts are a little bit strange or different or slightly customized. I just find them very fascinating, and they had a really nice little selection here behind this glass case, including some rarities that were very, very expensive. Here we have some miscellaneous mecha models, and I wish I could have showed this whole area, but it was very, very crowded. But I'll turn around here and you'll see the back corner, and you'll see just how many models they had here. And this is not including GUNPLA, right? This is all the non-GUNPLA stuff. And a lot of stores will carry this, but not usually such an extensive selection. This was really impressive. And behind me, there were 2 more shelves or 3 more shelves that I could not show because there were a bunch of people that were just really going through like every box in that area. Some Evangelion stuff here. And the Evangelion test type of Velociraptor. I think that one is so fun. And some old school Macross kits. And then I'm not super informed or into it, but I did want to cover it because I know that a lot of folks who are into hobby stuff, at least in those Japanese hobby magazines that I collect, they always have these like airsoft and military surplus sections, and they did have a small section of that at this store as well on the second floor. Here we have some high-grade GUNPLA, as well as some different supplies down there, some Gundam markers. And here's one that I had not seen before. The Delta Plus with a special box art, I believe. Some more high grades. And again, there was a lot of stuff I'd never seen before, like this long rifle. Interesting packaging on that one. And here we have a ton of master grades. They had just so many master grades and high grades. I feel bad because there's a ton of stuff I didn't film, and I think it kind of doesn't do this store justice, but you guys just have to trust me. There was so much stuff. My phone battery was a little low, so I was being selective with what I was recording, but the selection was crazy. Here you've got the Turn A Master Grade, Galgoog, Zeta Gundam. This is the limited edition color scheme. Cool little color scheme on that one. And the original Master Grade New Gundam. This is one I definitely want to add to my collection at some point, but I didn't pick it up because it was so big. I think that's something I'm probably just going to have to bite the bullet and order directly to my place. They also had the original Sentinel and full armor double Zeta Gundam. And something about those like original versions of those kits I just think are so unique and interesting. They may not be as high tech as the newer versions, but I think they are just so cool. And these were a surprise to see, these Xeon like military style containers. Very, very cool. And again, the new Gundam, just wanted to highlight the price there, that $12,000. And they also had the OG Master Grade Sazabi sitting right there with it. I do have this, and it's one of my favorite model kits I've ever built. Really impressive, and not a bad price on that. 8,000 yen. That's maybe like $50. Really a steal. Here they've got some vintage 160 scale kits. Some of these are hard to find, like this 160 scale old school Zeta. That's not super common. Really cool. Love those hand-painted box arts on those. You can see here what that kit looks like when it's painted up. And here you've got the Galgoog Cannon 160 scale. Really affordable for that one, like maybe $25, $30-ish. Not a bad price. I know these ones are really popular these days for people to kind of modify and detail up and make look more modern. The Strict G Gunpla hanger, you don't see too much Strict G stuff. And the mega size model of the RX-78. And this is probably one of the coolest box arts I've ever seen for the full action New Gundam. An incredible painting on that. And a really nice looking model kit too. Comes with lots of different accessories. You can see here all the funnels. And the LABI and Rose and the Hildolfer, I always talk about those because I want both of them. And the injection machine, this is a fun one that is always floating around there. A fun little novelty model kit of the injection machines they used to make Gunpla. And here is a cool little kit. This is actually an Advance of Zeta FG Furoku grade, if you notice that there. I think I'm going to do a future video about some of these stranger, less common grades because I think they're so neat and interesting. That old school camphor, I absolutely adore that box art on this one. It's got some strange proportions, but I am kind of fond of this one. It might be one I'd like to pick up in the future. Another Advance of Zeta kit here from Hobby Japan. And the old F90 kits. These are really cool. I'd like to pick up one of those at some point. They usually come with tons of accessories, which is really nice. The Garibaldi Beta. I believe this is the only way to get this kit in 1/100 scale, and I just love that box art. This is one I thought about picking up and kind of modifying it to be a faux master grade. The Zeta Plus C1. This is another kit from Gundam Sentinel, that first original series that actually looks really, really nice. Just snap built, you can see there. Compared to other kits of the era, this one, it looks a lot more modern and quite nice. And here you can see this crazy selection of vintage kits, combination of, no grades, maybe some really early high grades, some ons and ends in there too. Like this Ale Strike plus Sky Grasper, perfect grade. And the large scale no grade Wing Gundam. I absolutely adore that kit. It looks so cool. And the Azamu, which I always think looks like an onion. Old school 1/550 scale kit. Kind of cool looking. I think it would be something really fun to detail up and modify. Some of those old 1/550 scales are actually quite nice and easy to build. Here's an interesting one that I had not seen before. The DX series. Again, I would love to cover all these odd, different grades of kits in the future. Here are some P Bandai additional funnels for the Verka Master Grade New Gundam. And also some P Bandai expansions for the Victory 2. Very cool. I always loved those wings. And a box set, I haven't seen this before, of just different core fighters, I guess. Here you can see more master grades, P Bandai master grades. Tons of them. And here they have a bunch of 1/100 high grades. This is kind of a variety section. There's different stuff in here. They kind of have it categorized by G Gundam, Gundam X, and Gundam Wing. But there's some different odds and ends just kind of mixed in randomly. You can see a bunch of Gundam X kits, including that G Falcon unit, Airmaster, and some Leopards. And then some different P Bandai high grades from those series. I think I can safely say that this is the best selection of Wing, G Gundam, and Gundam X kits that I've seen anywhere in Japan. They had a ton. And then last but not least, they had this perfect grade GPO1 FB. They had a bunch of other perfect grades, but I did not film them because, like I said, my battery was unfortunately running low, so I apologize, you guys, but they had a bunch of perfect grades. And here they had some painted military dioramas. This one was super impressive to me. Loved the foliage and that texture on that bridge. And I love seeing the water here. Again, I'm not super big into the military models, but I absolutely love looking at them for the technique. A lot of those military modelers are just masters of the diorama and landscapes. And here we have a crazy huge selection of model books and magazines. It was basically a small library. This is the most impressive selection of books that I have seen anywhere in Japan. And I am a huge fan and collector of old model graphics and Hobby Japan, so I was basically in heaven here looking through pretty much complete sets of model graphics and Hobby Japan from the 80s to current on some of the magazine series, or some of them to where they stopped printing physical volumes. But just awesome stuff, and they're so affordable, like 300 yen. You cannot go wrong. I highly recommend these as a tool for all modelers to find inspiration and information about all kinds of techniques, and you do not need to know how to read Japanese to get a benefit from checking them out. So go check some out. Here they had a cute little racetrack for all of the RC models. They had a huge car and RC section as well. I did not capture footage for. And they had these huge train dioramas that were very cool. And it looked like what you could do with these is pay a fee, and you could bring your own model trains and run your own model train system on their tracks. I saw a couple of younger kids doing that, and it looked pretty interesting. There's controls, so I think quite a few people can have different trains on them at the same time. And as you can see, this is just gigantic. Like, stores in Tokyo just don't have the physical real estate to have setups like this. And if they did, certainly not two of them. Here they had a bunch of Zoids. I know folks in the comments are always asking me about Zoids kits, and there are a lot of them in Japan. And they had a good selection here, as well as some Metabots, which I would love to build a Metabots kit, but this one was a bit pricey for me, so I'll have to wait and see if I can find a better deal in the future for one of those. Today, we're exploring one of the hidden gems in Tokyo for all things Gundam, the 6th floor Gundam selection at LABI 1 Ikebukuro. In my opinion, this place easily rivals the famous Gundam base and is hands down one of the best places to buy new Gundam model kits and other types of model kits in Tokyo. They have a massive selection of hard-to-find supplies, as well as really cool store displays that make it a fun shopping experience for any Gundam fan. Plus, they have a huge toy selection with video games, trading cards, Legos, and more. So let's dive in and see why you should consider skipping Gundam base and heading straight here. Alright, so to get here, you just have to take the subway to Ikebukuro Station, and the store is right across the street. It's about a 1-minute walk if you get out at the nearest exit, but if you get out at a farther exit, it could be as much as like 4 or 5 minutes. As you get in the store, you're going to see this floor guide, and we are going to the 6th floor. You take the escalator right up there, and the first thing you're going to see is the video game section. They have a really big Nintendo Switch and PS5 section, as well as a small Xbox section. Here you can see they've got some standees for newer games, as well as a little couch and a controller setup so you can play the Switch. They've also got Legos, as well as all kinds of toys for kids of all ages. They've also got some bicycles and different things like that, but what we are really looking for today is the GUNPLA section. That's what we're going to focus on. And yeah, getting to the GUNPLA section, you're going to see these really big boxes. You're going to see this RX-78 and this Zaku statue. And as you turn around and you see this big kind of open area, you're going to see they have just so much product. There is just an unbelievable amount of stuff. In this center section, they focus on new product, and it's going to be a mixture of just new boxed product as well as some of it built, so you can see what the model kits look like. You're also going to see a lot of older kits in some of these displays. But as you can see, different than what people say about the Gundam base, where lately it's always totally, stripped bare by scalpers, this store is stocked. I mean, they have so much stuff, so much inventory. I have been to this store several times, and it always looks like this. They have a ton of stuff to look through, a ton of awesome built model kits, as well as some little dioramas and things like that in these acrylic display cases. And as you can see here, they've got some non-GUNPLA model kits that are made by Bandai. These are just newer releases on these tables here, but generally the non-Gundam kits are in another section. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the video, but right now we're just focusing on the GUNPLA section. You can see here some cool built kits. You've got Sentinel here. And moving around, you've got some different kits, as well as a bunch of little bear guy dioramas, which I think are really cute. You've got this Barbados diorama. So it's a mix of just, built up kits that you can kind of, can see, hey, this is what the snap build looks like, but also kind of peppered in here and there. There are some dioramas made by local builders, sometimes store employees. You've got Gunpla-kun here, as well as some SD kits. And just tons and tons of inventory. I want to just emphasize that because I've gotten a lot of, messages and talking to people on Instagram or on the Discord, and people are always saying like, hey, I've heard Gundam Base is hard to get into. I've heard they don't have a lot of stock. Like, where would you recommend going? And if you want new kits, this would be my #1 recommendation. If you want vintage kits, I would definitely check out Surugaya or a store like that. I have another video on that I can link to. But for new kits, this would definitely be my #1 pick in Tokyo. So turning the corner here, lots of SD Sengokuden. And we're just going to float quickly through all the different variety of products. I can't go, deep into every kit because there's just so much, but they also have cool posters and artwork throughout the area. And as you can see here, some really cool displays. This one is nice. It kind of changes as you walk around it, all of these different backdrops, and they've got mobile suits fighting each other, different little scenarios. Not quite, real professionally painted dioramas, but I think it really goes to show you, what you can do with the kits, and it just looks really fun. Here you've got some different supplies. I talked about this in my Yellow Submarine video. I didn't realize how common those official Gundam, I guess you could say it's like a build tray or a little workstation. I didn't realize how common they were, but they also have them here. You've got your basic action bases, as well as some more unique items like these Zaku and Char scissors. And then below you've got some LEDs and things like that. Just lots of different little accessories. And these are not the only accessories. You're going to see way more later in the video. There's a whole huge section of, you know, tools and accessories and things like that. These are just a few things they've pulled out and put on the end caps. Some part sorting containers. And getting into this area, you're going to see more high grades. Some Witch from Mercury at the top, some Build Fighters below, and even more Witch from Mercury. Very, very plentiful in terms of the stock, as well as some water slide decals on the left there. And then at the end, they've also got a bunch of those Witch from Mercury kits built up, so you can look at them. And then they've got these giant boxes. I know we walked past one in the beginning, but I just think it's such a fun store display. It's something that's really unique. I've only seen these in Japan. And yeah, I don't know, it's just something, I guess you could take a selfie in front of it. It just kind of adds to the whole experience. Some more built kits. And I was really happy to see these HY2M kits here, because they are a little bit older and a little bit more obscure. So they have other stuff besides just, you know, the newest kits on the market. Here you've got some more dioramas. These ones were really, really nice. Some more bear guys here, beautifully painted. Lovely little diorama there. As well as a bunch of other ones. I especially like this jack-o'-lantern. Really, really nice looking. And that Zaku as well. Just fun little takes on the bear guy. You've got some more high grades over here. And more high grades over here. Tons of stuff. And what I really liked here was this display. Now most of these are just snap builds, but a couple of them are painted. As you can see here, this one, the sword is painted. Well, the whole kit is painted. A lot of them are top coated too, so they look a little bit nicer. Some more interesting displays. And you got a bunch of new product here in this center area, as well as a little display at the top showing some of those kits. And these are the newest releases. Tons and tons of stuff to go through. Another new kit here. And of course you've got these big statues of the Zaku and the RX-78. The Zaku one I think looked a little bit nicer. The RX-78 one, for whatever reason, we'll show it in a second, the plastic has yellowed quite a bit, and I've seen these at some other stores, and I think it's just the material it's made of, because at the other stores they were yellowed as well. A bit unfortunate, but still cool. And last but not least, you've got these perfect grades as well as some of the larger kits. Not a lot to show here on this specific day, but like I said, I've been to the store a few times, and this changes all the time. So I've seen, you know, different things in that section before. And then you've got this cabinet full of all the built master grades, which is really cool to go through. And then another one on the side that has more master grades, as well as a bunch of perfect grades and really big kits like the Neo Zeong. And that's about going to do it for the Gundam model kit section. Now we're going to switch over to the plastic models. In general, lots of other mecha models and things like that. Mostly Bandai stuff, but there's some variety in there. As you can see here, lots and lots of stuff. And they still have end caps and displays for some of these non-Gundam franchises, which is really nice to see. You've got another acrylic display case here with a few different kits inside. And I thought these were interesting, little Sanrio model kits. Hadn't seen those before. And a huge wall of Kyokai Senki. Now as you go down this aisle here, you're going to see a lot of different variety, but just a ton of Kyokai Senki here at the front. And moving along, we've got a bunch of different Kamen Rider. I've actually never seen so many different Kamen Rider kits all in one place, so if you're a fan of Kamen Rider, this is a great place to come and pick up some model kits. Some Ultraman as well as some Pokemon, and actually the Pokemon part really interested me quite a bit because this is the biggest variety of Pokemon model kits I've ever seen. They had pretty much everything that I knew was out there, and then on top of that they had a bunch of different kits that I did not know Bandai ever made kits for. So there's the Entei, I forget how you pronounce it there. Of course Gengar, we're all familiar with that. And you've got Mew, Gyarados, some legendaries here. I didn't know there were kits for those. And yeah, Raikou, Suicune. Yeah, I just hadn't seen those ones before, so tons of Pokemon model kit variety. Very, very nice. And as you can see above, you're going to start to get into some different anime franchises. Some Demon Slayer, Fate Grand Order, a little bit more Demon Slayer. And you've got some One Piece, Naruto, tons of different franchise model kits. Some Sandland up there as well, even though they also have it in that new release section. Lots of different Dragon Ball kits. You got the Power Loader here from Aliens. That is very cool. Some old school kits, which you guys know I am a fan of. So you got your Vifam and a few other different super robot franchises. As you can see, I pull out the camera here. There's just so much stuff. Oh, this is cool. This is the Tiger Bunny Master Grade Barnaby Brooks Jr. And also this Cyberbots B-Riot. I had no idea that there were ever Cyberbots model kits, so that's cool. It's an old Capcom fighting game. Maddox 01. I actually have this kit. I was a little bit disappointed by the casting quality. Darius. I love these Plum model kits from different shooters. And this R-Type one kind of really stood out to me when I was looking at the sides of the box. I just thought the quality looked quite good. I would really be interested in building one of these ships. Maybe not R-Type, I'm not sure what franchise, but I definitely would love to build one of those Plum kits at some point. And lots of Macross stuff here. So I know a lot of people ask in the comments, hey, where can I get Macross kits? And this is a great place to come to pick up some, especially newer ones. Like I said earlier, if you want to get vintage stuff, definitely check out like Surugaya or Mandarake. But if you want new stuff, this is a great place to come. So some figures here. Not figures, they're model kits, but model kits of figures. Some more Macross. And this one I had never seen or heard of before. Not sure how you pronounce that, but cool looking mecha. Some bigger box stuff on top. That's generally going to be where they keep all the really big and more premium kits. Some Mega Man here. These are kind of hard to find in the US. I mean, you can find them, but there's not always the best variety. So seeing, a nice variety here was quite cool. And these were interesting to me. So these are Max Factory, Minimum Factory. And this is the Scope Dog. They've got a bunch of other ones, but I guess the idea is it's just a really minimalistic kit with very few runners. It kind of feels to me similar to those Hobby Japan magazine kits. That's just like 1 or 2 runners. Of course, you've got that garbage there. Mega Man, Mega Man X, Mega Man EXE, or Mega Man Battle Network in the United States. And you've got your Metabots. I love seeing these Metabots model kits. I'm definitely going to pick one of those up in the near future. And Ace Combat as well. It was cool to see. Again, I just love seeing the video game franchise model kits. It's really fun for me. This one, Maser Beam Tank. I'm not familiar with what franchise that's from, but it looked kind of cool. You've got some action bases here and even more model kits. So here you're getting into some of these bug model kits, and they've got lots of different kind of fun collabs here. So these bug model kits are very popular here in Japan. This Kinnikuman crayfish I thought was really cute. And the SD Macross fighter jets. Bumblebee for the Transformers fans. And, an old school Japanese castle. I love seeing those. Here you have your 30-minute missions, 30-minute sisters, lots of water slide decals and different accessories for that series. And just a few more model kits extending out onto the end caps. And now we are getting into the tools and accessories and paints and all that good stuff. So you've got some compressors up there on top, and here you've got some paint. I've actually never heard of this brand of paint, V-Color. If you guys have heard of them before, definitely leave a comment because this is new to me. And then entering the aisle here, you're going to see just so many different supplies. Here you've got lots of different, masking tapes. You've got your pla plate, different things like that. Some ring lights for taking photos. And here you've got a really nice selection of Gundam markers. You've got your regular Gundam markers, your Gundam marker Real Touch, your Gundam marker EX. Up top here, you've got a portable photo studio, as well as a couple of spray booths. And these were interesting to me. I didn't know that Mr. Hobby made markers, but apparently they do. It looks like a competitor to the Gundam markers, but interesting find. Some paint mixers and other little accessories like that. Here you've got your different putties, compounds, cements. Here you've got nippers. Really, they've got the whole gamut of any kind of tool you would need. I absolutely love these God Hand pin vise. I guess I could say accessories. I think they're called. Some of them are bit blades. Some of them have other names, but it's really hard to track these down on Amazon in the United States or any other site. You can pick up a few of them here and there, but the whole line is really hard to find. Here you can see a whole wall of every kind of nipper known to man. Unfortunately, in this little display case here, they were sold out of the very popular blue God Hands, so they just have the red ones and a few other varieties. And moving over to this section, here you're going to have some mechanical components for a lot of the miniature cars, remote control cars and things like that. But lots of different kind of, gears and things like that, little racetrack. And then flipping over to the other side of the aisle, you're going to see a few more car accessories and some car model kits. I'm not really that knowledgeable or familiar with these, but they have a really big selection, and I did think this one was really cute. It's a little car kit. It has a little cat as the driver. I thought that was kind of fun. And down the aisle a little further, you're going to have all of your paints. So you've got pretty much all the basics covered. You've got your Tamiya in both bottle and spray can, and you've also got your, panel liner fluids and things like that. Pretty much all of the colors are covered. And over here you've got some different rods and things like that. You've got some clear eye parts, some joints. Not the best selection. There's other stores that definitely do this better, but they've got a few basic pieces that you might be needing. And then here you're moving over to the Mr. Hobby Mr. Color section. So you've got all your thinners, primers, spray cans. And I loved seeing this. They had the full selection of filter liquids. This is another piece that is a little bit harder to come by in the United States. And I've never actually used these before. I'm really excited to try using them on something in the near future. Here you've got all your colors, your aqueous colors. And then this was interesting to me. So this is the Mr. Weathering Fluid. I highly recommend this, by the way, for anybody who wants to do weathering. Interesting, though, is that in Japan, it seems they've changed the bottle from square bottles that we're all familiar with to these round bottles. And I'm kind of annoyed because I just bought a special desk organizer that suits the square bottles, and now they've got round bottles. Very frustrating, but I guess there's not much I can do about it. Over here, you've got some other brands of paint. Specifically here, you've got your Gaia Notes. Lots of different colors. And on the top here, they have some special franchise tie-in colors by Mr. Hobby. So those are little sets of colors. And yeah, that's about going to do it for all of the paints and tools and accessories. And here you're going to see some additional model kits, and these are mostly military and car model kits. This section over here, lots and lots of tanks and things like that, airplanes, trucks, all the military stuff. And then moving a little bit further down, you've got some additional military, and it starts to turn into cars and motorcycles and things like that. Some really big or more premium kits up top. So if you are looking to pick up some newer, car kits, military kits, this is also a really, really great store to check out. And it continues down here onto this end cap. And now we are moving into the toy section, starting with the Tamashii Nations. I don't want to say booth. I guess it's just a couple of aisles in the store, but they do have some cool displays. I was a big fan of this one. It's this kind of little diorama they've got going on, and what I liked here is it starts from the sky and then it goes down to the ground, and then you got this desert, and then you have this cool little underground section. I just thought it was a really fun display. The motorcycle from Akira, really cool kit. Or I guess it's not a kit, I guess this is a figure, right? A toy, but it looked really cool nonetheless. And then going down this Tamashii Nations aisle here, you're going to see, similar to the Gundam section, they've got these display cases that are lighted up above, and then they've got some of the figures and toys and whatnot below those display cases. So you can kind of see what the things look like before you buy them, which I think is really nice. And they go through the whole gamut of, all the most popular anime franchises, but as you can see here, they've also got some Western stuff, some Star Wars, some X-Men. I thought that Samurai Wolverine was pretty cool. Some Sailor Moon. And you've got a mix of, I guess, regular full-scale figures as well as super deformed figures. Lots of variety, so no matter what you're a fan of, you're definitely going to find something, I think, that suits your tastes. And one thing that I also haven't really mentioned yet, but I do think the prices in this store are very, very fair, especially if you're coming from the West and you have that really great exchange rate right now. That's going to help you a lot, but the prices are very good. They're competitive prices in the store. You're not going to get price gouged or anything like that you might get by some of the stores in Akihabara, especially stores that are on, some of those main streets right by the station in Akihabara. You're going to get better prices here. Some Berserk, love to see that. And this was one of my favorite things in the entire store. Just so cool to see in person. I'd never seen it before. This is the metal structure Sazabi. And I was actually curious what scale this was. It doesn't say it on the card there. I'm sure I can look it up online. But it is quite big and really impressive looking. I mean, it looks almost as good or as good. I guess it depends on the modeler. But it feels to me kind of like a resin kit would look in terms of presentation. Just very, very great. Overwhelming presence. Really cool stand. Lots of color, lots of detail. And then we've got a couple more aisles of Tamashii Nation stuff. So you got more figures here. This area is going to start to have some mecha, which we'll get to in a second. But you've got your Godzilla, Ultraman. You've got your Super Sentai. You've got some mecha stuff here. Some Macross. Some Evangelion over there. And then some more super robot stuff on the end. And over here, this was kind of cool. There was some stuff here I wasn't expecting. But these are some, I guess, more valuable or sought after special edition items. So you've got your, Sailor Moon replica and even more figures. It's kind of overwhelming. But here we're getting into Gundam. There's just so much stuff in this store. I mean, you could really spend all day in here, multiple days in a row, and not see everything. You got your Wing Gundam action figures. So for those of you that like to collect Gundam figures, this is a really great place. And then they've got those Demon Slayer replica swords, which I always think are so cool. Some Votoms, Mecha Godzilla. And this really surprised me, guys. So Final Fantasy figures, I wasn't expecting to see them here. For 7 and 8, those are really cool. And yeah, here you've got a display with the Demon Slayer replica sword. Such a cool piece. This is the type of thing that would just be absolutely perfect for cosplaying, or even, you know, just hanging up in your game room, your space on the wall. Very cool. And I just wanted to call out these Hello Kitty Gundam kits real quick because they are super cute. And we're not done. No, there is even another aisle of more stuff to look through. Here you've got some additional figures. These are by Pop-Up. Kind of like the Chun-Li one. Pretty cool looking. And then you've got some more Nendroid style SD figures. And this is the exterior of this couple of aisles. It's kind of like a section in the store. And they've got a bunch of displays here with some of the more premium items, some of the bigger figures and things like that. You're going to see a lot of one-piece stuff. And moving on to some Dragon Ball figures. And then some more SD figures. And then finally getting into some mecha, as well as you can see that Gundam section. And some robot spirits, Gundams on the end. And the store also has a bunch of crane games, redemption games. There's a lot of stuff to do here. You can see that Lego section from before. And they've also got a bunch of gachapon machines. So really you can spend a ton of time here and just have all kinds of fun. I really wanted this Chef Kirby gacha, but they were unfortunately sold out. I was really bummed about that. And really quick, we're just going to do a little pass through the video game section. So you can see here they've got a big Switch display. We just passed that PS5 display. And overall, I would say the vibe of this store, it's not as cool as some of the smaller kind of mom and pop retro gaming or just gaming stores, but they have a really nice variety, and it kind of reminds me of, I don't know, something akin to like Toys R Us or something like that back in the 90s or 2000s in the United States, where it was definitely like they were putting in some effort to make the space look cool and feel like a gaming themed space, but not quite as much as, I don't know, if you would go to like Super Potato or, you know, one of these Akihabara stores where it's definitely run by gamers. But they have a really nice selection here. And if you want to pick up accessories, right, if you don't want to play import games, they have a lot of cool accessories like this keyboard, things that might be harder to find in the States. Also, you're going to find like lots of exclusive Switch cases, different controllers or controller skins and things like that for Japanese franchises that are a bit harder to find in the West. They also had a couple of retro systems, which was a bit of a surprise to me. And like I said here, yeah, some of those cases, different controllers, things like that can always be fun. And obviously there's no language barrier on a controller, right? So moving on to some PS5 games here. And they had this bargain bin, which had lots of different odds and ends in it, but always fun to flip through a bargain bin. And here you've got some additional PS4, PS5 stuff. This is mostly all PS4, but a really nice selection. And then getting into some headsets and accessories and things like that. And real quick, just wanted to highlight this trading card section because I thought it was really cool. They did have Gundam trading cards, and they also had some anime trading cards like Yu Yu Hakusho, One Piece. I thought it was a cool little section. And oh my god, you guys, these down here were so cool. Today we're at Yellow Submarine in Akihabara. This store has by far the most insane selection of plastic modeling supplies I've seen in central Tokyo. The selection of paints and tools is crazy, and they have a really nice selection of model kits too, including some that are pretty hard to find. I had so much fun digging through everything at this store, so what do you say we get right to it and have a look at everything? Alright, starting off with the paint supplies, they had this massive wall of just every color of paint you could possibly imagine, every type of paint thinner you could possibly imagine, all of the primers, like they had everything. Mr. Hobby, they had Tamiya. There was even another section where they had some Citadel paints, but yeah, as you can see here, like every kind of surfacer, the selection was mind-blowing. And they also had pretty much every Gundam marker you could want, a full set of Copic markers, and then for those of you who don't airbrush, who use spray cans, they had this huge wall of like every color of spray can, both spray can paint and also spray can primer and finisher. So it was just really impressive. Moving on to tools, they had the amazing cutter there for a really good price. That's probably my #1 favorite tool, but they also had a ton of other stuff from brass rods to all different kinds of nippers, pliers, tweezers, like pretty much everything you could possibly want. Here you can see they have like a really nice selection of different kinds of sanding sponges, sanding paper, any kind of grit you would want, just a really great selection. And over here you've got like your alligator clips, and moving into this section here is kind of like a parts section. So they've got all different types of polycaps you can select from. And then this section of the store has this line that they call Parts Paradise. And basically these are select parts from different model kits that are sold at a pretty steep discount. So if you only need like an extra weapon or an extra shoulder piece or whatever part you might need from a specific kit, instead of having to buy the whole kit, you can just buy the parts. And next to that area, they have this little selection of extra manuals, I guess in case you lost your manual or wanted to pick one up for whatever reason. It's nice they have it. Here they have diorama supplies, so just, again, like I keep saying the same thing, but just a really impressive selection of diorama supplies. I was actually surprised that they had AK brand stuff, but they had a nice selection of that as well. And then here they had some diorama specific model kits, which I thought were cool. I've never seen these before, but they really caught my eye and piqued my interest. And I definitely would like to pick up one at some point and try building it and using it in one of my dioramas. This one of a hangar bay really stood out to me. Really nice looking. You can see it's got some of the specs and sizes on the side of the box, so you can figure out like what size kits will fit inside of it. But really cool stuff overall. And they also had resin supplies, a really nice selection of stuff for pouring resin, clear resin, for casting resin parts, like everything you could want for messing around with resin. They had it, and they also had like regular putty and different things above that. Here are your mixing cups and funnels and things like that for either paint or resin. And here they had something really cool. These are Gundam building workstations. I actually have this one, the Pro version 2.0, and it's really nice. I talked about it in my apartment tour video, but they also have a basic version, which I think would be great if you wanted something a little less expensive. And these down here were so unbelievably cool. They had these official Federation and Xeon branded Gundam building workstations. Such a unique item I've never seen anywhere else. They also had a nice selection of airbrushes and compressors and some other adjacent tools like magnifying glasses, stands, helping hands, things like that. And a nice selection of magazines and books, including some that I had never seen before. Always love to see that when I'm, discovering new things. Like they had this one here, this SD Gundam Perfect Modeling Manual. I'm always looking for some books on SD Gundam that are not specific to the Sengokuden series, so this was a really cool find for me. And they also had this Hobby Japan Gunhead specific magazine, which again, I didn't know that Hobby Japan ever made one specific to Gunhead, and this looked really, really cool. I was super tempted to pick this one up. Moving on, they also had a nice selection of display cases. I'm just showing a few of them here, but they had quite a few different shapes and sizes and brands of display cases here. And finally, we are getting to the model kit section. Real quick before we get to that, I just wanted to announce I'm now offering channel memberships. In there, there's additional exclusive videos. I've already got 3 in there, and I'm posting at least 1 a month. It's a great way to support the channel. If you guys are interested, hit that join button on the top of my YouTube page. Now back to the video. And finally, we are moving into model kits. They had a really awesome selection of model kits, including a bunch that I hadn't seen at other stores. You can get a little glimpse here of just like the wide selection they had. They had the best selection of front mission kits that I had seen in all of Tokyo so far, which I love. I mean, these were really hard to find back in the US, and just seeing a full selection of them here that you could just pick through freely was really awesome. They also had an awesome selection of the Plum video game based model kits, including stuff from like Darius, Gradius, Ray Force, Power Dolls. They had like pretty much the full set of them. I'm sure they might have been missing a few, but it was the best selection that I've seen in a store so far. And here they've got Super Robot and just various non-Gundam mecha. So you can see like Giant Robo, Ordine, you can see some brain-powered stuff here, lots and lots of variety from lots of different franchises. Oh, and here, this Escaflowne kit. I was really tempted to buy this, but I ended up passing on it because I had a bunch of other stuff with me, and it's not super rare or expensive, so I should be able to get it later for a similar price, but this kit looks so nice. I'm just a huge fan of the Escaflowne series and would love to paint up and build a model kit for it at some point. And this one was nice because it was a franchise I'd never heard of before, and the box art kind of caught my eye. Yeah, Ember. I don't know much about it. I haven't really researched the show or anything like that that it is based on, but I just thought it was an interesting looking mech as well as box art. And moving on to my favorite, of course, the old school anime kits. Starting off here with some Studio Ghibli kits by Fine Molds. Awesome to see a nice selection of those here. And this is not a Studio Ghibli, this is just a Hasegawa chair and table, but I always think these random little furniture scale kits are just so cute and interesting. Moving on here, you've got some Mospita kits by Aoshima. These look really nice. Haven't built any of those yet, but would love to at some point. You've also got your Patlabor. And over here, oh, these are funny. So these are from Dirty Pair, and I actually picked one up at a convention a couple years ago, and I paid way more than they're selling for here, so I was kind of kicking myself for that. Some different stuff here, some Macross, lots and lots of variety. And this is cool, they've got some additional models here from Dirty Pair, and then some more here from the series I believe is called You're Under Arrest, and that's actually a resin kit, not a plastic kit, so worth noting. Very, very cool stuff. And they also had some displays, of course, like every model shop does in Japan. They've got lots of like painted builds, non-painted builds, just so you can have a sense of what the models are going to look like. And what was really cool is all throughout the store they had these displays, so generally, like you can see here right above where you would buy those kits, they had some of those kits on display, which made the shopping experience really, really nice. And they had a small selection of Warhammer. I'm not super knowledgeable, so I'm not going to go into depth, but they did have it. And of course they had some Gundam G structures, which are not the most common. Not all stores carry them, but they're really cool. Today we're going hunting for rare model kits in Ikebukuro's Mandarake. Stick around and I'll show you why this place became my go-to spot. This place is awesome. They have so many different model kits and collectibles for you to shop for, and there are a ton of good deals to be found. They have everything from Godzilla to Dragon Ball, One Piece, Pokemon, plastic models, and more. So what do you say? We get right into it. Alright, so this Mandarake is located in the basement floor of this Parco building right by Ikebukuro Station. And you'll see this really big sign that lists the hours they're open from 12 to 20, that's about 8 o'clock. And you go down the escalator into the basement, and this is what the entrance looks like. And coming around, you're going to see all of these glass display cases, starting out with a lot of retro toys, Godzilla figures, things like that. Here you'll see some magical girl stuff and also some Pokemon stuff in this case. I actually did a video about the Pokemon selection here a while back. I'll link to that video here, but they had some great retro Pokemon merch here. And I'm just going to jump right back to my favorite section. So I come here all of the time and check out the retro model kit selection because they have so many, and so many of them are just super cheap, and the selection is always changing. So that's my favorite thing about this shop, is I can come in here like 3, 4, even 5 times in a week, and it's always going to be different stuff. Here they've got this master grade Aura Battler Dumbine, which is a little bit less common and super cool. I really want that one at some point. And then here again, this Tetsukyojin that I really want. Some other Dunbine figures. You can see it's kind of, they try to categorize it. So this section is a lot of Dunbine and some similar series. And you'll see some Pat Labor down here with the master grade Griffin Flight type. Very cool kit. And then like this is a great example. So this is something I've never seen before. NAD. I think that's from Macross. Some brain powered. I also did a review of this kit on my other channel, my Vintage GUNPLA channel, but I have not checked out this P Bandai version. Not familiar with this series here. I think I've seen it in a few other stores, but not super familiar with that one. Okay, this one is super cool. I have seen this for so long and I really want it. It's this reactive armored Macross Zero kit, and to me, it just really reminds me of like a Macross version of the Gundam Heavy Arms. You'll see here on the side of the box when I show the pictures. It has those opening hatches with like 1,000,000 missile pods, just big Heavy Arms vibes, and I think it would just be such a cool kit to build. And some Macross fighters. Some different vintage Macross kits here. I know a lot of folks will post in the comments asking where you can get Macross kits, and I would say Mandarake is definitely a really great store for that. They have just a huge variety of non-GUNPLA kits, as you can see here. One of the more modern Macross kits. This one looks really cool with that graphic that goes along the top. And these little tiny ones. And some of these old vintage ones. I've kind of been curious to maybe pick up one of those little scouts and build it kind of like in the style of a D&D mini or something like that. And then here moving to some Panzer Blade stuff, extending from the last section. Galleant. Oh, this one looks super old. Very cool. Wingal. And here you've got some Votoms. Some stuff in the Votom series. And then this is one where I'm just like, I've never seen this before. And this series too, I think this series is super interesting actually because it really reminds me of Maquet. Feels very much like a Make kit. Shinden armor from Gasaraki. Again, like, that's the amazing thing about this store, is just discovering so many things I've not seen in any other shop. And yeah, these obscure different mecha series are just my absolute favorite, and I really want to build more from them. This one is cool too. I like that artwork on the box. Crab Gunner. I talked about this in an older video. And what do we have here? The Mackerel from Max Factory. This is a newer kit. Ironfoot. And then they've also got some like non-mecha sci-fi kits here. This one here is from Thunderbirds, which is actually the series that I believe loosely inspired Star Fox. And here you've got some various newer kits, including Gal Gaigar, some 30 minutes missions. Pretty cool. And they've got some 5-star stories. The one thing I will say is I do feel like for whatever reason, the prices on their 5-star stories kits are a little bit high for me. I've always wanted to pick up one, but they just seem a little bit expensive for what you get compared to some of the other vintage model kits, which are really, really affordable. I mean, some of them as cheap as like a couple $100 yen. This is kind of interesting, an Attack Girl gun. And some Hexagear stuff here. Grandizer. Some of these other Getter Dragon Super Robot model kits. And then up here they've got a few other different franchises. Going into some more Super Robot stuff. Some additional Dumbmine kits, Transformers. And down here they've got a lot of Kamen Rider stuff. And a few other figures. And this one's really cool. I'm just a huge fan of these Hobby Japan exclusive limited model style kits. I think they're just really neat. And this is another franchise I'm not really familiar with. And then last but not least, some Digimon here, Alphamon. Yeah, Big Tony on the left over there, and some other odds and ends. Gastima, another franchise I'm not really familiar with. Code Geass. Very, very cool. And down here at the end they've got some additional old school stuff. This is that area I was mentioning where it's just kind of general sci-fi, not really mecha. Just general sci-fi model kits. That's really cool. Some Crusher Joe. And then some Star Trek. You'll see like, yeah, James Bond, just various sci-fi stuff. And then here behind the glass case, they've got some rare figures and toys. Also some models mixed in, but a lot of these are Chogokin figures or other, just other figures. This cabinet here I really love. This one has some really obscure soft vinyl Sofubi as well as resin kits. And there's some really cool stuff in here. You'll see here they've got this 135 scale Gun Griffin 2 from the video game series. I think that is so cool. And an Evangelion soft vinyl kit. Some Godzilla figures, some Michael Jackson, just like all kinds of variety of stuff. What else do we have in here? Pyramid Head. And over here you've got some different Votoms and Zoids. These are scale models. A lot of the more expensive stuff in this store they will put behind glass cases. And this guy's kind of cool. Some more super robot stuff. And here is really cool. They've got some Dr. Slump model kits, as well as some old school Japanese franchises. Some really old Votoms kits and Yamato. Just lots and lots of variety here. Bunch of Macross. And they also have car models. So over here you're going to see a lot of car kits, models, of course, like ships, airplanes, all the traditional like OG model kit stuff, starting from, you know, military and beyond. This one, I think the artwork is so cool. Feels like almost like an art piece or something. And then I really do like these little SD planes. I think those are really cute. I'd be curious to build one at some point. But yeah, if you're into like more traditional model kits, military cars, motorcycles, planes, they definitely have you covered, especially with vintage Japanese stuff. And over here, you're going to have your girls' figures and model kits. And over here, they've got a lot of 5-star stories mixed in with some other just various stuff, like from miscellaneous Maquet to other franchises like Ideon, some Robot Damashi. Really, really nice selection in this shop. And then behind this glass case, you've got some of the more, I wouldn't always say expensive because they're not always necessarily super expensive, but some of the more desirable and bigger box Gunpla kits. You got the Perfect Grade Zeta there, a lot of P Bandai stuff, Gundam Base exclusive stuff. Very cool. Occasionally you will see some really rare stuff in here, and yeah, this is actually the shop where I got my original Master Grade Sazabi. I got that the first week I was in Japan. I came in the store and it was sitting there right there on the shelf for really cheap. Picked it up. Here you've got some perfect grades. This cool Sonic figure. Gundam Mark II perfect grade. Of course, the Nightingale RE100. And this is cool. It's limited edition prototype RX-78. Some of these older, more obscure kits here, and a painted kit that was built and painted up by some other modeler for a hefty price tag, but it looks pretty cool. And over here you've got some Dragon Quest stuff, some Chocobo stuff, Digimon, just various video game franchises. Some Final Fantasy down there. So if you're not just looking for model kits and you want to maybe pick up some retro gaming merch, they don't actually have retro games, but they do have a ton of associated merch. Some more kits here, including this resin Nightingale, which looks insanely cool. When I get into resin kits, I don't know if, I mean, we'll see which I build, but I mean, that one is definitely one that I would be interested in. It looks so cool. I love the Nightingale. Very expensive though. And you've got some various metal builds down here, very expensive, as expected of the metal build series. And this one is kind of cool looking. Deluxe Chogokin figure for 148,000 yen. Very, very, very expensive, but cool box art. And then over here, this is, and over here they have just various model kits that are more modern. Some of them are more on the retro side, like you'll see this Gundam X Divider. But overall, this is going to be modern releases and reprints, things that are not no grade. So high grade or above, or modern SD kits like you can see here. But there's definitely cool stuff to be found here. This is where I picked up a lot of the old school Wing and G Gundam kits to add to my collection. And then you'll see like these Gundam base exclusives all over the place. That's why I always tell you guys, like, don't feel like you have to go crazy like going to a Gundam base to pick up some stuff. They have it in stores like this. The Daughters Custom Limited Model, I did grab this for just 2,000 yen. I could not resist. I've always been so curious about the limited model series, and I would love to collect them all. And this old school Jagan with just amazing box art. And in this bin here, they've got some various like little parts, as well as some of those like entry-level kits that come in a plastic bag. And yeah, here you can see me just very excited about this Daughters. It looks very stiff, but I believe there are some ways you can modify it and add joints to it and things like that. Here you can see some of the high grades, including some vintage stuff over here, like that high grade Shining Gundam. Very cool. I love those old 1/100 scale high grades. I think it's such a neat series. Kind of like the original RE100 in a way. And the EX models, of course. I love those as well. Cool Hyakushiki here. And another Gundam Base limited exclusive. So, like I said, just you're going to find these all over, and as you'll see, not super expensive. So, yeah, don't feel like you have to trek out to a Gundam base to get that stuff. Definitely pop in some thrift stores if you're curious. These Advance of Zeta accessory parts, very cool. And over here they've got a lot of real grades as well as master grades. You can see, again, more Gundam Base Limiteds as well as P Bandais. As well as some various older kits, kind of just mixed in there. This triple action base, I've never seen this before. Not really sure what that is. I think it's just 3 action bases in one box for holding up some bigger kits. Here you've got an Exia recirculation color, GM Sniper Custom, the old school Zeta, the Master Grade RX-78 version 1.5, just some odds and ends. Nothing here that's really super exciting to me, but maybe to some of you. That Delta Gundam is actually pretty cool. And then just looking through some more of these high grades here, some of the figures. As well as they also have some action figures, which are kind of cool. I don't see these that often. They're a little bit more obscure. Like, you can find tons of model kits, but I don't see a ton of stores that carry these kind of action figures here in Japan. So it's cool to see if you're into that. For me, I'm mostly into the model kits, but they are pretty neat. And then this thing is really cool. This is super rare and expensive. the price matches it, but this is this gigantic real type color. Let me see if I can struggle to pull this out here. RX-78 2 for 50,000 yen. But it is super heavy, super big, just giant action figure with some nice detail. And here you've got just some various figures of Witch from Mercury characters. And moving along, just looking at some other stuff they've got throughout the store here, some Godzilla stuff, a lot of Dragon Ball stuff, including some vintage figures. And this cool vintage Krillin. I actually did pick up a vintage Goku from that same series. I really love that retro look. This Master Roshi keychain. Bulma's motorcycle model kit. Mr. Popo. And just all kinds of different Dragon Ball figures. Keychains, things like that. Here they've got some One Piece. Naruto. Some more Dragon Ball. These are some more expensive figures. This Kami is pretty cool. Oh, sorry, King Piccolo. King Piccolo is pretty cool. Here you've got lots of vintage Godzilla stuff, so if you're a fan of that kind of thing, you will definitely find some cool things to pick up here, although I will say a lot of it is pretty pricey. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are at the Surugaya Plastic Model Hall in Akihabara in Tokyo. This store is amazing. It's 2 floors, and I'm gonna go and take you through the whole floor that covers all of the Gundam kits and all of the mecha. For the most part, I think some of the mecha is actually on the 2nd floor, but yeah, let's just get right into it. Right off the bat, this was the first thing that caught my eye. I could not believe I was finally seeing it in person. This is the 1/100 scale Master Grade the O, which is super out of print and super sought after. It was way too expensive for me, but it was just really cool to see the box in person. It has a beautiful box. Moving back to this first corner of the store, there's a ton of Master Grades and a ton of these EX kits. I'm a big fan of the EX kits. I think they're really interesting, but they're pretty hard to come by in the United States. So it was nice to see just such a huge selection of pretty much every EX kit you could think of, all for decent prices. And then I pulled this down here. This is one of my Holy Grail kits. I almost went to pick it up a few weeks after filming this, but it was actually sold. And it's just such a cool kit. It's such a unique fusion of like a mech with a tank. There's really very few other Gundam kits like it. But sadly, I was not able to get it. These are the UC Hardgraph kits. Those are super cool. I just never see those in the United States. At least not the ones that they have there, including that 8th MS Team one. That's super cool. Here you have some RE100s, quite a few, including a lot of the P Bandais. I really wanted to pick up a ton of these, but my backlog's pretty crazy right now, so I want to build and review some of my backlog first before I pick up any more, but I was really considering this Mark III. I think it's just such a cool design. So over here they had a small selection of magazines, not as amazing as some other shops like Mandarake, but pretty okay. And I ended up picking up this one copy of Gundam Weapons because it was $3.26 for me here. So even though I'm not a huge fan of Seed, I couldn't pass up on such a cheap Gundam Weapons. Here's some modern kits. I didn't dig into them too much because I was mostly looking for vintage, but I did think this kit was pretty cool. I don't know, just really liked the design of that one. Here is some of the vintage selection, especially on this left wall here, going up from 80s stuff at the top down to 90s and 2000 stuff below. Jumping right into it, I was obviously drawn to all of these wing kits, starting out with the Serpent Custom. This kit is pretty pricey in the United States. It's one I really want, but they take a long time to, you know, do seam line removal and all that stuff. And I've got a few other 1/100 scale high grades in the backlog right now, so I need to pick and choose. I did end up picking up this Gundam Leopard though, because this kit is crazy expensive in the United States, as you can see here. And the discount was just crazy. It's also just such a unique kit. I've never really seen anybody paint one up on YouTube. But if anybody knows of a good YouTube where someone paints one up, definitely link to it below, because I'd love to see. It's a Neo Gundam, kind of more obscure kit there. And then, yes, the Gundam Heavy Arms Custom that everybody loves. Although maybe not as many people as me love this old kit, but I passed on this one as well. I decided to go with the Leopard for now, and once I build that, maybe I'll come back and check out some of the other kits. Okay, here is a big boy. This is the Wing Gundam Zero, and I could not believe the price on this, you guys. It was like $58, and it's so expensive in the US. The only reason I didn't get it is because it's just going to be expensive to ship back. So I'm going to see if I can grab it in one of the Surugaya free shipping sales and get free shipping back to the United States, because I really, really want to collect that kit. I love all those 160 scale high grade and high grade EX kits from the 90s. This was pretty cool. This is a kit I've never seen, and actually when I tried to pull this up on eBay, there were none on eBay, including no records of it ever being sold. So I don't know, should I go back and get that one? I'm not sure. It's such a cool design. The Abagor, this is a cool one too, but this one, when I looked it up on eBay, it's actually quite common on US eBay, so I passed up on that for now, even though the suit is really neat. Just some more old kits, just such a huge variety, as you can see. They had some of the pretty good selection of those Gundam Wing Dual Story, I believe it's called, kits. And here you've got a Gonza D, which is just, you know, I don't know, as you guys can probably tell, I like some of the more unique looking mobile suits. This is just a cool one. I'm not sure if I've seen this box before. I think I might have seen it before, but it just kind of stuck out to me at the time. Okay, moving on. This is on the second floor, and this is where they have a lot of the military stuff, and then they have the non-Gundam mecha. So this is a cool kit from Macross. I just really like the design of it. It kind of stuck out to me, especially with that font that looks super retro and super 80s. This Assault Suit Lanos kit is one I really, really want to build. It's been on my wish list for a long time. However, the price that they had it at this store was about exactly the same as you could get it brand new on Amazon in the United States, or eBay, whichever you prefer. This LED Mirage old school wave kit, I did end up picking it up. This has been a grail of mine for a long time, ever since I saw it in a local hobby shop back in New York a couple years ago. I passed on it at the time because they were selling it for like 120 bucks or something, but I did end up picking it up because that box art is just so cool. And what do we have here? Just this little Maspida kit, which I thought was cool at the time. I've come to find that those are really, really common, and you see those in Mandarakes all the time in Japan. Here you've got a bin of some really old kits, including this super old Sazabi. This is actually a really cool one. I have seen it a few times painted up and detailed up in some Hobby Japan magazines, and if you put the work into it, it actually has just a really interesting, different look from other more modern Sazabi kits. And then I found these little tiny Gundam kits. I'm assuming they're just keychains or something. If anybody knows what they are, please leave a comment and let me know, because I'm actually not quite sure. Yeah, I'd love to know what these are. I'm assuming they're just either really tiny model kits or just keychains of some kind, but they were a little expensive, I think, for what they were. So I didn't pick up one of those. This Danboard Mini, I just thought he was so cute, and he was really, really affordable, as you can see here, for just 1,000 yen, which is like $7, but I did pass up on it because, again, I picked up enough. Hey everyone! Today we're at Mandarake in Shibuya and we're going to be hunting for rare model kits. Let's check it out. So this is an amazing shop. They have a huge selection of figures, plastic model kits, resin model kits, magazines and books. So much cool stuff, and we're going to go through all of it, all the different stuff I found, and talk about it. So why don't we get into it? So first you're going to go down the stairs here, and when you go in you're going to see all these video games, you're going to see soundtracks, anime, you're going to see playing cards, trading cards, all kinds of stuff. But this hallway here is where the model kits begin. All the way in the back of the store, they've got this really nice display cabinet. They've got several display cabinets actually, full of all kinds of figures and everything. But first, we're going to talk about this section of the store. This might actually be my favorite section of the store. They basically have like a Gundam model kit book library. I shouldn't say just Gundam because they've also got figure modeling books, other franchises, but there was so much amazing stuff. Starting out with these Mobile Suit Gundam the Motion Picture art books. Now these are really cool. I haven't seen these before, and they were for a pretty decent price. It's just I really wanted to focus on picking up model kit books specifically, so I did end up passing up on these. This is an interesting one I had also never seen before. The MJ Material 10 Double Zeta book. This looked pretty cool. And of course we have here Advance of Zeta, the cult classic. This one looked pretty cool as well, and it was quite a deal less expensive than you would find it on eBay, so that's nice. And this one really blew my mind. I've been looking for this for a long time, and this was the cheapest thing I found in the store that day. This was only 200 yen. That's like $1, and on eBay this goes for $30 to $40, and I absolutely love the GPO2, so I was so excited to get this. Even though it did have a little bit of sun fading on the spine and a tiny bit of water damage, it was well worth it. This was super cool too. This is the Gundam Virtual Modeler Pro Perfect Manual. Actually, what it really is a piece of Gundam software from the mid-90s that actually lets you go ahead and create these like old school low poly 3D models of Gundams, and then you can kind of use it to create art. It's very cool. Like this is an example of the art you can create. It's such an interesting like vaporwave aesthetic. I am really excited. I'd like to do a video all about this at some point if I can get the software up and running and really document it, because it just seems so interesting. And next up we have some Gundam Weapons books. I was really happy to find this. This is Gundam Weapons Gunpla Love. For some reason in the US on eBay, this one is actually quite expensive, coming in at around $60 or so, but here it was only the equivalent of about $16, so that was cool. And here we have some Gundam Hobby Life. This is a really cool magazine. It's a lot newer, so it has a lot more modern building styles. What else do we have here? Okay. This Gundam Sentinel book is fantastic. I already own a copy, but I highly recommend it for anybody interested in old school Sentinel builds. And this is one I had never seen before. This is a GUNPLA catalog from 2013. And here we have a bunch of the Gundam Wars books. These are really, really amazing books with fantastic old school builds from modelers like Kobayashi and so on. Really, really interesting stuff. Lots of scratch building from the 80s and 90s. Highly recommend that series. You can't go wrong with it. And then moving on here, we have Model Graphics Gundam Archives. Now, I had done some research while editing this video, and I learned that these are actually really cool compendiums of all sorts of model graphics models that were built between like the 80s, 90s, all the way up to more modern issues of model graphics. So I kind of regret not picking one of those up because I mostly own Hobby Japan, but different modelers tended to work on model graphics. Of course, there was a lot of overlap between modelers, but it's just different people, different styles, different photography, and yeah, I'd love to own some more model graphics stuff and add to my collection, so maybe I'll go back and pick one or two of those up at some point. And last but not least, rounding out the model graphics archives, we have this issue on Gundam Sentinel, which is very cool. I'm just as big of a fan of the Gundam Sentinel designs as anybody else, so this one was really cool to see, and it actually goes for a little bit on eBay, almost going up to $70, so that was kind of surprising. Okay, this next one is really, really, really good. This is Max Works, Max Watanabe Mobile Suit Works. It's an amazing book. If I could recommend you guys pick up one book, if you don't have any in your collection, I would say get this. I actually did a separate review on this on my Vintage GUNPLA channel, which I'll have a link to right here. I highly recommend you guys check this out. He's an amazing modeler, and yeah, you can't go wrong with this one. Moving on here. This is another one I ended up picking up because it was super cheap and just kind of interesting to me. This is Gundam Weapons Amphibious Mobile Suit Special Edition, where it's got all the different suits that go underwater, and it was only about $4 US. And yeah, on average, most of these go for about like 30 to 40 on eBay, so I figured why not pick it up, so I threw that one in the basket. And this is the original How to Build Gundam. I believe it's the first one. And I had actually been shown this by a friend of mine back in the States before I came to Japan. So I passed on that because I'd kind of seen all the contents and I wasn't crazy impressed about it. Here we have some Animage magazine as well as some New Type magazine. Unfortunately, I didn't see anything here that really caught my eye, but it was cool that they had such a wide selection. And then moving on here, this is where they keep all of the non-Gundam modeling books. So if that one wall wasn't enough for you guys, they've got this whole other wall where they've got stuff like this Votom's modeling book right here, which is really awesome to see. Really, really cool stuff. All kinds of stuff. Everything from, you know, Star Wars, figures. They've got Patlabor right here, this Patlabor 3D show book. If any of you come across these 3D series done by Hobby Japan, whether it's Gundam or Patlabor or any other franchise, highly recommend picking them up. They were really onto something with those 3D books. That whole era of building, in my opinion, was fantastic. This is Blue Knight in the three-dimensional world. I'm a big fan of Blue Knight. I don't know much about it, but I just find the designs and the logo and the whole aesthetic very appealing. So I'm kind of curious to maybe pick one of these up at some point. And here I'm just kind of panning across. You can see all the different kinds of franchises they've got here. Some Transformers ones as well. And moving over here, we've got video game art books. I was kind of on the hunt for some old school retro video game magazines, but I didn't really find any gaming magazines other than this small batch here of PlayStation magazines, which I kind of got my hopes up. I thought they were old school, but they're actually really, really new PlayStation magazines, which is fine, but I was hoping that they would be a little bit more retro. I did find one vintage magazine, and it was this Game Clip, which I'd never heard of before, but it was super expensive, I think, for a magazine, so I ended up passing on that, but it seemed pretty cool. Here we're getting into the model kits and figures, you guys. These are a bunch of Macross figures, as well as I think there's maybe a couple of model kits mixed in there, but mostly figures. And over here you've got various Super Robot. Again, mostly figures, but I think sometimes they mix in a model kit or two. And yeah, this Gunbuster Chogokin really caught my eye. At first I thought it was a model kit, but it ends up that it's just a figure, so I'm not as excited by that, but it's still very cool to see such a big Gunbuster suit there on display. And this boat also caught my eye. I don't know, something about the painting on the box art. I don't know, it's really drawn toward it. And here we have a bunch of resin kits. I thought these were really, really cool. A huge variety of stuff. A lot of it was hard for me to figure out what it was because I'm not familiar with a lot of the franchises, but obviously you've got like a Scope Dog there. Just really cool to see so many resin kits. And then here you've got some figures, some Evangelion stuff. Some more Evangelion stuff over here. And then moving down, you've got some robot Damashi figures, as well as just a few resin kits kind of mixed in there, which is really just, I don't know, it's kind of fun to me when you can pick through and it feels like things aren't in the right place. It feels like you're, you know, finding a secret treasure or something sometimes. And then just some action figure there on card. So that's most of the cabinet stuff. I was really drawn to this resin kit in particular, though. I believe it's one of the Panzer World kits, and what I actually found out was that there is a Max Factory version of it, which actually looks really good, so I might end up picking up that Max Factory kit at some point, but lots of cool resin kits here to dig through. And another one, this was really cool. This was an Ifrit custom. That is a 1/100 scale conversion kit for the Master Grade Goof. Of course, now we do have the RE100 of that, but it's still really cool to see. Lots of different big boxed robot Damashi figures here, and this really old Dom figure kind of stood out to me. That was neat. And then here you have a display case with a bunch of metal builds in it, which is nice to see. I know you guys are always asking about metal builds. And then finally we're getting into the toy and figure section. So there's just a few loose toys here. This one stood out to me. I thought it was a really cool kind of SD style design. Maybe something I could do for a future repaint project, but I did end up passing on that one for now. And then this one looked to me to be a little bit like a garage kit, but I think it's just a Patlabor figure. And you've got a bunch more figures here, as well as this Principality of Xi'an mug cup, which I could not find on eBay. And then you've got a few more thermoses and mugs down here, just some different Gundam merchandise, which is cool to see. And this PlayStation game caught my eye. So this is a big box version of a PS1 game that comes with a Super Robot figure. We've got some more Super Robot stuff. And then here you've got the Hatsune Miku Fei Yin from Virtual On, the version Ka. And that's going to be about it for the toy section. Finally moving on to model kits. And here I just pulled out different ones that caught my eye or I thought were interesting. And starting off with this Elgheim kit, I really was drawn to the box art on this one. Just a really cool old school style painting. This kit ended up being pretty affordable and not too rare even in the United States as far as I could tell on eBay. Next up we have Brain Powered. This is a neat little kit. I did a review of this on my Vintage GUNPLA channel if you guys are curious and want to check it out. One interesting thing about this kit versus some of the other versions of Brain Powered is it does come with this little Hime figure, which is really cool. And yeah, that's getting kind of expensive on eBay for some reason lately. Moving along, you've got some 30-minute missions kits, some other more modern kits, and then you've got your character kits. And here we've got a bunch of really old SD kits. I've always been a fan of the really old school artwork on these. And just some different HG kits that stood out to me. The Hammurabi. This one is, I guess it's a little bit more uncommon, but it's not hard to find. And then the Argama, I see this everywhere, but for some reason it's still a little bit expensive. You know, not super expensive, but too much for an impulse buy for me. Cool model though. And moving over here, got the Zeta Plus. I'm always looking for a Zeta Plus C1, one of the old school versions. I saw one at one point, but I passed it up. Okay, this is really cool. The HY2M hands for the Master Grade Shining and Glad Gundam. I didn't realize at the time that this is kind of rare. It's not expensive, but it's rare. Like there's almost no listings of that on eBay. Okay, here we've got the old school system weapons. I believe these were the first generation of system weapons. Interesting fact about these is they have decals painted on them, which can be a little bit problematic if you plan on painting them, but I guess cool if you don't want to paint them. And here we've got some more stuff. You've got the white base here from the EX model series. And you've got this. This really stood out to me. I've never seen this before. I could not find any results in my searches on eBay, but it's a DVD of how to build Sword Calamity Gundam that comes with a model kit, which is just so interesting. I wish Bandai would do more of these. I know people probably, I don't know if people would be interested or not, but I would be interested. Like a new model kit that comes with a Blu-ray with Meijin Kawaguchi or something on how to build it. I don't know. The LABI and Rose, that always sticks out to me. That's one I want to get eventually. Then some various master grades. Nothing too rare here. And this Atlas Gundam was really cool. I really dig the box art on this one, and I wish Bandai would do more box arts like this, where it's kind of more of a statement. Some more high grades here. And then here we've got the Draw C. This is one of my favorite designs. I feel like there's kind of a rule with me that the less it looks like a mobile suit, the more I like it. And that one's actually going for a little bit on eBay these days. And here we've got the Codename Cyclops set from the UC Hardgraph series. Such a cool series. At some point, I promise you guys I'm going to build something in the UC Hardgraph series and do a video on it. But gotta work through the backlog first. But that's a cool one. And a good price for it too. And here we've got the super big Gelgoog. This is really cool to see. I believe a modified version of this kit, I think it was the Char's Gelgoog, actually won GBWC a couple of years ago. But it's such a cool retro kit that's just absolutely gigantic. And something that would be fun to mod and do some custom work on. Now here we've got this other corner of the shop where they've got all of the non-Gundam GUNPLA. I know the other section had like resin kits for non-Gundam series and things like that, but there's even more of it here. Everything from car models, 5-star story stuff, just various mecha anime. You can see obviously girls model kits, just all kinds of stuff. And I found quite a few cool things here. Just panning through first, just all of the different stuff. They had so much to dig through and really good prices on the majority of them. And here they had a Panzer World Gallant kit that I had never seen before because this one is made by Wave. I know I talked about the other one earlier from Max Factory, but I did not know Wave made any kits for that series, so that was cool. And then Assault Suit Lanos. I talked about this kit in another one of my videos, which I'll link to here, where I go through a bunch of old vintage models. But I really want this kit, you guys. It's just the backlog is killing me, but I will definitely get that at some point. It's just such a cool design. And here you've got a more old school Panzer Blade model kit for the Wingle, made by Takara. This one looks super old. And here you've got Robocon, which is a character from a Japanese children's TV show, a really old TV show that is really cute and funny. It's a fun watch. And here, the Tequila. Guys, I can't believe I found it. I cannot believe I found it. The Tequila Gunner. No, it's not the Tequila Gundam, but it is an interesting looking, I guess it's not a mecha, really. I guess it is a mecha. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I think it's cool. The Aura ship Zerlernia. I see this all over the place in different Mandarakes. I think it's super common, but the box art is just so cool, and it's just such a unique, like, beetle ship design. This one I was so tempted for, the 1/24 scale Garland from Megazone 2-3. I'm a huge fan of Megazone, And I would love to get this, but the box was gigantic. And I don't know, it's hard because it's pretty expensive on eBay. And it looks like a decent model kit, maybe not the most modern or articulate, but a good one. And they had a bunch of SF3D model kits. Now you guys let me know, because I'm not a Machine and Krieger expert, but does that mean these are vintage? Definitely leave a comment and let me know. Here we have 5-Star Stories Neptune, which looks pretty cool, but I think there's other 5-Star Stories kits I'd probably want to build first. Just some various vehicles and different vintage stuff, some Macross, which is cool. And then down here you've got this little bucket of all these option parts. You've got some Armored Core stuff. And you've got just little odds and ends here. This Star Granger. And some stuff from Zoids over here. It's just little option parts you can pick up for cheap. This stuff like doesn't exist. You can't even search it. It's not on Dala. It's not on other search websites. Alright, so today we're looking at the Gundam Specialist store in Akihabara in Tokyo. This store is crazy. I don't even know where to begin, so I'm just going to get started and we're just going to walk through the store together, and I'm going to talk about a few things I bought, a few things that really blew my mind, and I'm just going to constantly be recommending everybody check out this store who can go to Tokyo or is planning on going or is there right now. This store is crazy. So starting off the bat, you walk in, you guys saw the big Gundam statue, there's some Converge figures, and then heavy hitters in this display case, like right off the bat. Look at all these resin kits. Like, you do not see that anywhere. You don't see it on Surugaya. You don't see it on eBay. You don't see it on Bai. Some of them are a little expensive if you're looking at the price tags and doing some conversions, but like this O kit is 8,000 yen, which is not really a lot at all for a kit that's that hard to find. Yeah, just crazy. Like, and a lot of these I'm seeing for the first time. I didn't even know that they existed. So I'm kind of at a loss for words, and I'm just going to freeze here because I'm pretty sure that that's the Famicom logo. And as far as I know, I don't know if there being a Famicom color Gundam kit, but with collabs in Japan, I wouldn't be surprised. So if anybody knows, definitely leave a comment. Moving on to metal builds. I don't do a lot of metal builds, but I think it's really cool to see such a wide selection. They had a ton. I just think for what I do with customizing and painting and all that stuff, they're just a little pricey for that. Yeah, so moving on to the wing section. This section really blew my mind, and it's not just wing. We'll get into some other stuff, but they had so much good stuff, you guys. Like, I'm freaking out again just watching the video, recording this voiceover, because look at all the old HGs. Like, these are so hard to find. That Death Scythe Hell, I bought that. And that Death Scythe Hell, I also bought that. Oh wait, no, I didn't buy the Death Scythe Hell high grade. I bought just a regular Death Scythe high grade 1/100, but I did buy this 1/144 kit. The Maxter, you can see me thinking about buying that for 1,000 yen. It's like $7 or so right now with the conversion rate. The Ultron Gundam. Those 1/144 kits are really not that great. If you're nostalgic for them, they're kind of fun. Like 700 yen, that's crazy. It's like $4. That's such a good deal. Yeah, such a fun, just nostalgic kit to check out. But yeah, they're not that great. The 1/100s are actually really nice if you're down to sand some seam lines. But the 1/144s are not that great. I did pick up that one though, because I built it as a kid, and it also comes with a nice figure of Hero. The Rising Gundam, I was thinking about this, but it's actually pretty common because it's a reprint. And you can find this even in the United States pretty easily. So I did not pick that up. I'm also biased towards like red Bandai logo kits. If I'm going to get something vintage, I'd rather have it be like an actual, I don't know, it depends. Maybe sometimes an actual vintage kit, sometimes a reprint's fine. Just some really cool stuff. RE100s. Just all sorts of just different cool stuff. They had a Serpent, but they didn't have a 1/100, which was a bummer. Some old school Victory kits, which are really cool. Those are not that uncommon. I've seen them a lot in Mandarakes throughout Tokyo. The Gun Blaster. Look at that art. It's freaking sweet. You're going to hear me say dumb stuff like that a lot just because I'm so hyped watching this video again. Like, I was so, I don't know, just overwhelmed almost being in the store that I don't think I fully got to appreciate it. And I'm appreciating it more now, like going back and watching it again. Again, all these Victory kits have awesome art. I probably would have picked up a few because I really like the designs from Victory, but I am working on that 160 scale kit. Look at this art. It's just like a poster that I need. I wish Bandai would release some like poster prints of these old kits. I picked this up, the Hygog, the old 1144. I'm using this for my build-off kit. If anybody wants info about the build off, I'll leave some in the description, but you can follow me on Instagram and there's a post about it there. The GM, interesting, but I don't think it's uncommon enough. Okay, the New Zeal, I also picked this up, and I promise I'll get into a full tour of the video, you guys who are watching. Like, please keep watching. I just wanted to go through some of the stuff I picked up right off the bat. But we're going to get into some cool stuff in a bit. The Valwalo, I don't know, I was thinking about it, but I've seen it in the States and it's pretty affordable. The Mechanics Dendrobium, which is kind of cool, but I was a little burned out on the Dendrobium after the SD kit that I built, so I think maybe not right now. Just some other various kits here. And moving on. Okay, so this is cool. I really like these F91 kits. I've got a couple of them. It's Crossbone. And there was a ton of P Bandai here for those of you who like the newer stuff, just so much stuff. You can see my stack of stuff I'm buying on the left there because I just started carrying it around the store. The Vigna Zero, that's, I don't know, I might go back and maybe get one. It's such a cool kit. But I kind of want to finish my vintage F91 before I start working on a new one. I just need to, you guys know how it is. You got to keep the backlog in check. You can't be getting too out of control with that backlog. It was really cool to see all these EX models in one place. I've never really seen that many of them in person. This Gerber I was really thinking about buying, but I think I'm just going to wait for the reprint that's coming out later this year so I can get it for a little bit less. And I just want to focus on buying kits that are harder to find so I can, I don't know, have more room in my bag. Look at these shirts and this Quattro jacket. I mean, I wanted to like flip through them, but there was someone standing there looking at the other side of the rack, so I didn't get to. They had these aerial snacks, which I thought were kind of cute. That was kind of fun, but really has absolutely nothing to do with Gundam. But I think it's kind of cute. Or as far as I know, it has nothing to do with Gundam. And then they had this Gundam Gachapon where you don't actually win like Gundam toys. You win, I believe, like little pieces of paper that have a certain amount of points, and then you can exchange those points for different Gundam kits that they have in a display case. Some character figures, which I've actually found out are quite common in Japan. This limited for Best Modeler Gold Zeta Gundam. I think this was a prize. That was kind of cool. So here there's just some display, a lot of snap build stuff, but there is some painted stuff in here, which is quite cool. And most of it's for sale too, which is fun. And then some just different rarities, odds and ends. It was really just fun to look through all this stuff. And then again, some more resin kits here. I was just blown away by how many resin kits they have. I've been to a lot of shops, a lot of Mandarake's, book offs, just different secondhand shops, and I haven't seen any other than here. I think I might go back and buy this because that's only 5,000 yen, and I had no idea that Wave made an O kit. I didn't know, I guess Bandai let other brands make Gundam kits back in the day, but that's super cool. Just some different built stuff, painted stuff. This full armor double Zeta is pretty rad looking. Really nice paint job on that. Big Zam, it's a little bit expensive, but it's pretty cool. Perfect grade Zeta, that's not really hard. I think that just got reprinted. That's not hard to find, but just cool to see all this stuff. This full armor double Zeta's just got such a cool box. I had to pause on that for a sec. A lot of new stuff. So if you're into new stuff like HGUC, incredible selection for new stuff too. This Zekuines, I think that's how you pronounce it. Really cool kit. I was kind of thinking about that. That's a little bit harder to find, so I thought that was pretty cool. I've never seen the Gundam Sentinel Attacker. I think that's what that is. And look at these freaking, it's so cool. Those backpacks, again, they were crazy expensive, so I didn't really think of it. This is cool. It's like a little military style case, Xeon style. Just different stuff like gloves, wallets, sunglasses, purses. It's just stuff that you can't even really search for. It's really challenging to even know what search terms to put in to find this kind of stuff. But yeah, some more old school SD kits. I'm not a big fan of most of them because they're so hard to build, but that Maganek's kind of interesting. I didn't even know they made an SD of that. Oh, that SD Devil is so cool. That's one I kind of want at some point. This Easy 8, that's one of the, I think that's actually the first kit that I built getting back into Gundam as an adult, I guess like in my early 20s. The catapult's really cool. I was trying to figure out what this box was. I think it's some sets of books. I didn't really read exactly what it was, but just like another SD set back there. But yeah, that Argama catapult deck's pretty cool if you're into like G-structure stuff. And yeah, going back here, this is like the big thing that I really freaked out on. Right there, bottom shelf, all resin kits. Not all resin kits, sorry. There's some just regular vintage kits, but just so many resin kits. This stuff like doesn't exist. You can't even search it. It's not on Dalong. It's not on other search websites. I mean, there's some random websites that have listed a handful of them, and some YouTubers have talked about them. But as far as I know, there's no comprehensive database or way to like search up if any of these things actually exist, when they came out, what do they look like. It's just like, I don't know. It's I don't know, very mysterious. I'm pausing on this box because this box art is gorgeous. But yeah, my mind was just blown at all these resin kits. And of course, there's the ones behind the case that you can look at. Those are some of the heavy hitters. But just to be able to flip through some of these cheaper resin kits was so cool. Like, and not just resin kits, but like vintage resin kits that maybe you'll see in like a B Club magazine or some old like vintage Gundam magazine from the 80s or 90s or 2000s. Just so many cool ones. Like, I probably sound like a broken record just saying it's so cool, but I mean, you guys gotta go and check out this store. These are some G structures, which are cool. If I was not so invested in like custom diorama building, I would definitely probably be messing around with those for photo shoots and whatnot. Oh, and this kit, I really want it. I kind of still want it. The Alpha Izuru, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it was like over $100 with the conversion, so just a little expensive. And yeah, the Dendrobium, that's actually an action figure, but still kind of cool to see. And yeah, that's it. Guys, you gotta check out this store. It's the Gundam Specialist store in Akihabara in Tokyo. It's so cool. They've got so much stuff. As you can see here, it's 100% Gundam. The prices are decent. Some of them are a little bit more expensive maybe than what you might find in a secondhand shop, but it's definitely, they're not like price gouging. And with the exchange rate right now, like if you're not from Japan, if you're, I don't know, just if the exchange rate's good for you in your country, like it is in the US right now, I mean, the prices are just killer. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate you just, yeah, putting up with my fast talking because I'm trying to record the video after the fact, and it's a little bit tricky, but thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys could give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment and subscribe and hit the bell icon and all of that stuff. If you want to see more videos of me here in Japan, I'm going to be trying to do some videos of some arcades coming up, so that's going to be cool. And I'm going to bounce back and forth between some Gundam stuff, some anime stuff, some retro gaming stuff, some arcade stuff. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. All right.